Artificial intelligence is changing the world so rapidly that we're all fearing losing our jobs. So how can you, as a product manager, best prepare yourself for the future? I work in a lot of innovation environments, and one thing we love to do there is to futurecast. That means imagining possible futures that could exist, often at complete extremes. And this is a great way to then imagine different ideas of what you could do in that space. This can be a lot of fun, and it can seem a bit silly in some ways, but it's got a serious element too. If you're a product manager and you're worried about what you need to prepare for in the future, well, the best way is to really think about what different ways the world could go. And that way you can prepare for each of those different scenarios. In today's video, I'm going to introduce 5 possible futures that I've imagined for myself. And hopefully it's a bit of fun, but also you'll take some things away from this that could be great ideas to prepare for in the future. Future number 1, the sentiment enterprise. In this world, AI systems automatically manage operations. They predict client needs and initiate delivery actions before humans can intervene. I told you it's going to feel a bit extreme, but in this world, AI is really the driving force of the product. So your role as a product manager is no longer about writing user stories or curating a backlog. It's actually about ethics. What do we want AI to optimize for? What kind of decisions do we want to allow it to make automatically before we can get involved? There are 3 key skills that I think become really important in this future world. One is AI governance. What's fair? What's an unbiased decision? What do we want to make sure that the AI is allowed to do? Secondly is about storytelling. If we're no longer controlling individual features and how they're introduced, how do we make sense of the direction of the product and ensure our leaders across the organization understand that picture as well as the customers too? And thirdly, systems thinking. If the AI is controlling the individual decisions, what does a small tweak in the controls that AI has make for the overall product and enterprise? That's the sort of thing that we would be in control of. Future number 2, the eco-digital first world. Every product decision is co-optimized for carbon impact, digital ethics, and user value. AI models simulate environmental consequences of feature releases in real time. In this scenario, every single decision we make is framed from the impact that it's going to have on the environment. We're no longer worrying just about whether something's valuable or feasible or viable, but what is the environmental impact? We're impact designers. Pretty cool, right? There's a couple of key skills here. One is carbon literacy, really understanding the impact and the environmental footprint that different decisions will be making and how best to calculate those across not just your organization, but your full supply chain. And secondly, trade-off negotiation. How do you balance those environmental decisions and the business impact too? That is going to be a real skill in of itself. Future number 3, cognitive collaboration. Imagine a world where human AI teams co-create solutions in real time, with AI acting as a strategic partner rather than a tool. In this scenario, we're not handing everything over to the AI, but an AI becomes really a big part of our team. It's another person effectively, and we need to work out how we can enable collaboration, not just amongst people, but also with the machines. The skill of facilitation is clearly key here, but thinking about how you can make sure machines and technology are embedded in that process. We also need to think about prompt mastery. How do you make sure you prompt in the right way to get the best out of the technology as part of these activities? And thirdly, emotional intelligence. This might sound a bit strange, but if you are genuinely having a team that are going to be relying a lot more on technology, we need to think about how do you keep spirits high and ensure that people are happy with this new environment. Future number 4, mixed reality delivery. A world where product delivery happens through immersive, augmented or virtual reality environments, blending physical and digital experiences for clients. This is essentially the dream of the metaverse. Imagine we are creating products in a virtual space for people to use in those same environments. We become experience architects, thinking about sensory journeys that people might go on. Here we need to learn a lot more about spatial design. We're in a 3D world, so our products and the experience around them is in that space. So we have to become a lot more familiar with that. But also we need to learn how best to prototype and experiment in a virtual world. And that's a completely different environment too. Future number 5, zero touch deployment. As someone that's delivered a lot of products with technical teams, I know there's a load of tasks and activities when you're trying to get to release a new iteration. You need to test it and you need to make sure that things still work. And if they don't, roll back. But we try to automate that. But let's imagine a world where everything's automated. So you can stand up a new environment, you can release new versions, you can roll back very easily. You don't even need to think about it. In reality, teams have been trying to automate a lot of this for some time and to some success. But if it was truly completely automated and we didn't even have to think about any of this stuff, then what would we do? We'd become even more focused on solving customer needs and problems. We'd become more outcome obsessed and we'd be bolder in our product visions. This would be about really hyper focusing a lot of the core product skills into making sure that we are quickly moving to iterations that improve the overall experience of our customers. And there you go, that's 5 possible futures and some of the initial ideas I've got around the skills you might need to prepare for. I get it, this won't be for everyone. Not everyone wants to think about these like imagined states. But I think it's really helpful because you can start to think about different ways you might need to focus. Let's quickly recap those 5 possible futures and where our focus would be. In the sentiment enterprise, we become ethics curators. In the eco-digital first world, we are sustainability strategists. In the cognitive collaboration, we're human AI facilitators. Or in mixed reality delivery, we become experience architects. And finally, in the zero touch deployment world, we are discovery and impact champions. The common thread across all of this, in my view, what this shows is typically as a product manager, a lot of the core skills, the principles of what we do today, they don't change in any of these worlds. What do we need to represent? We need to make sure we're hyper focused on outcomes. We start thinking more about ethics and impact, and we are there to bring teams together. Whether they're all humans or we're using some AI amongst that, we still have this role of facilitating that team to deliver great work. And in my view, will AI take your job? Maybe in parts, maybe some of the grunt work will be taken away. But really the question is, how do we as product managers step up to these possible futures where technology is going to become an ever-present part? Anyway, enough of the future. Let's get back and grounded to today. I hope you found this video useful and maybe quite interesting, maybe a bit entertaining. Some of you might have found it a bit silly in a way, but I think it's really helpful. If you did like it, I'd love if you could like the video and maybe think about subscribing to my channel. I am doing a lot of videos thinking about the future of product management. I am a product manager myself. I am trying out a bunch of different AI tools as part of my ways of working, and I'm sharing my experiences with you on here. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe think about subscribing. Also, if you enjoyed this idea of futurecasting, why not come up with ideas for your own futures and share them with me in the comments below? I'd love to hear your thoughts. After all, I've showed you mine, why not show me yours? Wait, that sounds really dodgy. Ignore that, but you get the idea. Or if you don't have other ideas, tell me which of the 5 futures that I've mentioned do you think are most likely? Where are you going to focus? I'd love to get the conversation going. And with that, I'm going to go back to reality of the day today, but hopefully think a bit more about how I can prepare for the future too. See you soon.